Hello and welcome to Pay Per Reviews. I am OLED and I'm joined by the Brunch Busters, Bobby Munson and his tag team partner, Chris Parrish. Normally, we'd be super upbeat and happy and excited to talk about WWE.
You're not?
No!
Yeah.
Because apparently Snoop Dogg was
Is it because Jay White didn't show up, Ed? You're this mad?
And we've got that problem. Okay. No, apparently people backstage making the decisions got into Snoop Dogg's stash and plans changed.
No, that was just production got into Snoop's stash tonight.
What the hell happened tonight?
I don't know. This was like the train wreck of all train wrecks. Hi, Astrid.
So Asher Pizarro sent me something on Slack, and I want to read it out to you guys. As you guys know, I'm a very big fan of the wrestling club. I'm a very big fan of the wrestling club. Victor Tyler Perry and some of his students were there live for both nights of WrestleMania. This is a direct quote from his tweet. "The kids aren't okay. They are visibly upset, and I don't know how to console them. I'm just going to let them sit in this disappointment. The storyline is heavy and emotional." We're adults. We understand how the wrestling business works. We understand that sometimes decisions get made. Basler, thank you for joining us. We understand that sometimes decisions get made and storylines are just what they are. But these are kids, man. These kids remind us of what it was like to be a kid and thinking that all of this is important and that we lived and breathed on every decision that was made behind the scenes. That Ecto guy, thank you for joining us. It's just... It's hard to comprehend what happened tonight. I see the comment. Go ahead.
Okay.
Jay White coming out too after the match would have made everything better. Yes. Great. Cool. Fun. Going back to his other comment, though, as a former in-ring performer, I get it. As a wrestling fan, what the fuck?
No,
Like,
no, that was more like,
As Basler says, that goddamn Solo Coloco. My son finally seeing what I do in wrestling. Big night for me. How are you guys? Like,
I'm good.
Doing a lot better than Cody Rhodes right now.
it's just Lauren. Good night. As an entertainer, this all makes sense. But I don't STG. I don't know. Lauren, help me with the acronym. I was big mad. I agree. Like I'm visibly and emotionally upset at this. Oh, swear to God. Okay, thank you. I'm upset with this decision, but you know what? That means it might be a good decision. Because guess
I'm
what?
telling you why
doing
this is a
tomorrow
good
night
decision.
All right, go ahead.
Because there was one man that stood out very large tonight. Can you please take that giant comment off my face?
No, it looks good on you.
Thank you.
Here's a smaller comment. You can at least see your face.
Hi. No, there's one man that stood out tonight in WrestleMania, and he retained the Intercontinental title. I strongly believe that this was made because Gunther will be the guy that takes the title off Roman Reigns.
Yeah. I mean, it's potential. I still think it's Cody. I still think there's legs to this story. I don't think we're done with this. What I'm going to say is what they've done tonight has made the Raw after Mania tomorrow for me something I have passed up the past few weeks because I'm like, all right, we're on the road to Mania. I can catch up with everything on demand. It'll be fine. It's must-see appointment viewing tomorrow night to find out what in the blue hell is going on with this company.
Here's one for you, Ed.
No, Tom. No Boo Shane McMahon. Shane
Tom.
McMahon
Yes,
is
Tom.
the best in the world.
There's part of me that hopes he tore both his quads so we can now realize that that is something that could be genetically passed from father to son.
So we're hoping he has the best doctors in the world.
I do summon Shane McMahon. I love Shane McMahon. I think Shane McMahon is best for business. But
I love how
getting
Bobby
off-
and I drank alcohol and we're the ones talking some sense right now.
We have that other guy, the best in the world at blowing out his knee. Gentleman. I don't know if there's going to be anything gentle about the three of us tonight. Why is this company obsessed with... All right. So, to answer this, because this is actually a really good question. Exactly. The Samoans are a lineage in this company, but not only in this company, in a variety of wrestling companies that have gone on. Just make this easy. The Samoans
get to talk too.
No, you don't. Go ahead, Parrish. What did you have to say?
I'm just saying. It's because he pissed off every other family in the thing. That's why. It's the only family he hasn't pissed off. And when I say he, I mean Vince.
But the Samoans, as Bobby can relate to, and as if we had Papa Smokes here, could tell us even more than any of the three of us could ever tell. The Samoans have helped build multiple wrestling companies throughout the years.
Yeah.
Alpha and Sika are obviously the ones that we know from WWE. But trust me, when you take in High Chief Peter Maivia, who is part of that lineage, sorta, kinda, there are so many other Samoans that just do so much for the business. I'll move my microphone closer and I'll check my status.
And Bobby's are just right.
Yeah, Bobby is definitely our... Bobby is absolutely definitely our...
He's our dog father tonight.
Goldilocks. He's our Goldilocks. We have Noob saying, at least the Flair family respects the Japan. So, I know you're a fan of Asuka, Noob. They do. Asuka, so basically, he's referring to the post that Asuka had
bury
a post.
Asuka at Mania 5 years ago.
Oh, boy. This thing's gone off the tracks and we haven't even actually talked about any of the matches.
Oh, yeah, there's matches on this thing.
I mean, there's a couple of matches. There's a couple of things that happened as well. Speaking of the first thing that happened tonight, as we're gonna mix a couple things here.
Okay.
Brock Lesnar versus Omos. It happened.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to talk about it?
It almost was worth talking about. It wasn't as bad as I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I agree. I had low expectations and it just barely passed the bar.
Yeah.
As our good friend Tom Collihue says. And by the way, if you haven't, go follow Tom Collihue on YouTube. He is fantastic. He will be doing another watch party tomorrow night as a special watch party for Monday Night Raw. But he also has his spoiler warning shows on Mondays and on Fridays where he breaks down news and tells us all kinds of wonderful things that he knows. So go ahead and give him a follow. If you look at the Samoan rugby players, loads of them built like brick outhouses. Yeah, the Samoans are all pretty built. Jacob Fatu, all of the Samoans over in the MLW, the Samoans that have been in WWE, like they're all built a certain way. Brock Lesnar versus Omos, not me. It's piss easy and there's nothing to talk about. Yeah, I mean, Omos didn't do that bad.
He took that second German pretty nice.
And you know what? That's fine. Like, it got him on the card. It got him a nice payday. Good for him. Do we want to waste any...
And with those really turned up microphones, he really got to be heard tonight.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about this anymore?
Just to go back to Tom Collihue's comment, who talks about wrestling at WrestleMania? Well, we can't when the match involves 3 moves from the winner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard when there really isn't much wrestling to talk about in the opening match.
We have that actor guy popping in. The one thing that pissed me off about Omos versus Lesnar was that Brock got his ass beat most of the match and then hit one F5 and Omos lost to 1. I get that it's the opener, but good lord, psychology. I think the psychology is Brock is better than everybody, and one F5 from Brock Lesnar just is. I mean, remember, one F5 from Brock Lesnar put down Super Cena. Let's not forget that. Moving on, because I don't think any of us want to waste any more time with
Let's
that.
just hit an F5 and refresh our minds away from that match and go to the next one.
Which, honestly, in my mind, wasn't much better. We have Liv Morgan and Raquel Gonzalez versus the Black Hearts of Natalya and Shotzi Blackheart versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Basler versus Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. Yes, I had to try to remember the two of them were in this match. Yeah, Parrish's bad puns have not gotten any better since the old days, so don't worry about that. Bobby, go ahead and talk to us about this.
No, but we get views now. That's great.
Talk about this match. Well, I was kind of hoping that they would have done something like stuck Titus O'Neil on commentary again, so at least that would have been the entertaining part. There's nothing here. I don't care. I don't care about what they put these mixed tag matches together for. There is no real tag teams here. Chelsea Green looked like she kind of stood out a little bit. Other than that, Ronda did her shit. No one cares.
No, Ronda did one thing.
Yeah.
And nobody cares.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this up until Ronda got involved, because the rest of it was kind of fun. Chelsea Green not wanting to get involved with Raquel Gonzalez. Liv Morgan getting thrown around by anybody and everybody as a weapon was kind of fun. Apparently Shayna Basler got hurt at some point during this match in the 2 spots that she had, which is really unfortunate because she's tied to a massive anchor. Let's just be honest. And if she can't wrestle, then that's just bad for both of them.
Can't hold that weight up forever.
I love that she did the Shane McMahon spot before Shane McMahon could do the Shane McMahon spot.
We have Barry Monkey jumping in saying, I didn't bother watching this match, saw the women in it, and thought, fuck that. Like, let's be honest. Some of these women are incredibly entertaining. Like, I'm going to start putting my foot down here. Some of these women are incredibly entertaining. Some of these women are incredibly talented. Like, I get that there's a lot of bad personalities in this match, and there are some bad characters in this match. But, yeah, kind of. Like, yeah, like, just because there's one person in this match that doesn't deserve to be talked about, and it's the person who won the match, doesn't mean that the other 7 didn't go out there and do their thing.
Let me reiterate, because, like, I'm not trying to say...
No, I'm not talking about you.
Oh, for sure. But, like, it's not so much the competitors in the match. It's just the mess of a match that it becomes when you have so many people involved that want to get their spots in such a short period of time. There's not a lot of time to lay anything out properly or do anything that doesn't involve 1,000 spots in a very short cut piece of time. It just really didn't have the excitement. Yesterday, I mean, don't get me wrong, the guys won yesterday wasn't much better other than Titus O'Neil's over enthusiasm, which we saw later in this card as well too, that kind of saved that one as well too for me.
I think the difference for me between the 2 matches is they gave the men's match, I want to say, slightly more time. I feel like the other match got about 5 minutes longer. And 2, it seemed like the men's match had a plan. Like, it was utter chaos to the fans watching, but it seems like it was laid out as, here's a plan, start to finish, what we're going to do. I wish we had had Jason Jordan booking this match, because we found out now since last night that Jason Jordan was part of the mind behind the Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley match. If we all remember, Jason Jordan was also one of the minds behind this year's Women's Royal Rumble, which was very good. So Jason Jordan is having a lot of luck with these women's matches between him and Tyson Kidd, who is very good at laying out women's wrestling matches and is one of the head trainers for the ladies at WWE on the main roster. I think it would be better to let some of these guys take a bigger point in helping, especially some of these women who need a little bit more attention with the way that their moves go. Because I love Shotzi, but Shotzi is a lot of times a little reckless in my mind in the way she runs the ropes and the way she does the things that she does. I love her to death because that's who she is. But at the same time, it's a bit scary to watch. Parrish?
I thought two things I didn't like about this match was that it was a tag match, and you really didn't see much tag wrestling in it. You really only saw one team kind of execute their partner, and they were the most thrown together tandem in the match in Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, who I thought actually gelled pretty well with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, when Carmella comes back, I kind of like that as a trio.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, you see random tags, and you're like, okay, if there was supposed to be this much order from a structured tag match, why was there so much chaos from start to finish, and why wasn't there more order throughout the match, which would have probably made this match better if you actually had a stop and start pattern in this, because these women aren't going to look great when it's just bang, 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 and then all of a sudden one thing goes wrong and the whole sequence goes to shit. It's never a good look for anyone, and you just can't expect 6 to 8 women do that properly all the time, especially not ones that are as green as some of the ones in this match.
Yeah. And to answer Tom's question of what am I trying to say about the women's division, I'm saying that the women's division needs more care and a little bit more hands-on approach. That these women are talented and can do what they need to do, but it looks like some of these girls might need a little bit more care, and maybe we can let Charlotte and Rhea and Bianca and Asuka kind of figure out the things they need to do on their own and spend a little bit more time making sure that the Chelsea Greens and the Shotzi Blackhearts and the Liv Morgans and the Raquel Gonzalez's have a little bit more structure so that, as Parrish says, things don't go chaotic and then everything falls apart.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing. When I said 6 women can't, I didn't mean like they aren't able to. I just meant the ones in this match couldn't pull it off. Because we saw 2 amazing women later in the show have I think a good match. I hate the ending, but at the same time, you got to make structure in these tag matches. You saw a little bit more of that in the men's than I thought you did in the women's.
And again, like to reiterate, we had 4 women's matches on the 2 nights of WrestleMania. 2 of the women's matches, the 2 singles matches, felt like well-constructed, hard-hitting, well-done matches put together in a way that told a cohesive story from start to finish.
Yeah.
Even though I disagree with one of the finishes, the story from start to finish made sense. In the 2 tags that the women's had, the 6-women tag last night and the Fatal 4-Way tonight, we saw that there's... When you start getting more people in the ring, these women, as talented as they are, and mind you, the 6 women in last night's match are about as talented as they get. I mean, we're talking about Becky Lynch, Bayley, Trish Stratus, and Lita. Like, from a standpoint of experience and talent, the 4 of them are top notch. Kota and Io are not green by any stretch of the imagination. Between all the things they've done around the world, between all the things they've done in NXT. And even that match had a point where I started going, the chaos is taking over the match. The WWE Women's Division is loaded with talent. The draft is going to help put some of the greener people on one side. It's trying to mix them up so that there's not one side full of it. Because right now it feels like SmackDown is kind of loaded with talent who need a little bit more seasoning, need a little bit more veteran leadership in the ring. In this match, it really felt like we had Shayna Basler and Natalya as veteran leadership for 6 other women. because I'm never going to say that Ronda Rousey is a veteran, no matter how often she's in there, because she's not earned it.
Take that, Ronda.
I don't think she gives a shit what I say, so don't worry about her.
Probably not. She still made her paycheck. She made her bag.
Yeah, I wish she didn't get the bag, I'll be honest.
Yeah, she just doesn't know how to get over with the bag. That's the problem.
Asher Pizarro bringing in...
It runs in the family.
Asher Pizarro bringing in the information from
It's a
Triple H.
genetic disorder in the McMahon family.
Thank you, Ashford, for watching the post show so that we can go ahead and have this.
Thank you, Ashford.
As
I
Basler
have
says,
it on. I just don't have the sound on.
as Basler says, breaking news.
Yeah, it is breaking news.
Someone report it.
Yeah. And as Lauren says, made
right.
that bag. This person doesn't deserve the bag. They don't deserve the money they made. But you know what? Fuck it. It happens. All right. Moving on. Next match.
Ronda Rousey is the bag. She's bad and god awful.
I believe, if I remember correctly, the next match, because I didn't take notes, is the three-way for the Intercontinental Championship.
You got it. You're on fire. Right?
This is worth talking about.
Finally, something we want to talk about. So before we get started on the match, Titus O'Neil is at ringside for commentary.
Yes, he sure is.
And by the way, I now
call the police.
I now want this now every month. I want it every month that he comes out and does one match. I don't want him to do all the matches. I want him to come out and do one, because I just want him to bring energy, pick up one match and just hold it up a little bit higher, and then go home.
I don't know what. I don't know what that is for. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Barry jumping in saying Shayna's out. They'll have to remind months of upcoming. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. Parrish, go ahead and talk to us about the wonder that was the Intercontinental Championship.
This made you appreciate wrestling, I think, because one, you didn't see the old-fashioned triple threat where throw a guy out and then you got to do a good chunk of the match with two people. No, they kind of threw that psychology out the window. They beat the living tar out of each other. What I loved about it is the irony of this match, that everyone just beat the living piss out of one another for our entertainment. But the match started off with Drew McIntyre completely missing Gunther with the kick. So right off the bat, I'm like, oh no, not this. And then the whole match, man, that chop fest was absolutely delightful. This is why the Intercontinental title is one of the most prominent titles, is because you have performances like this. And this is why Gunther, in my opinion, is the guy to take the title off of Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Bobby, your thoughts?
Yeah, I loved this a lot. And I tend to lean on a little bit not liking the multi-person matchups. I think that it's sometimes a lazy way out. But they didn't take the lazy way out with this. Like Parrish said, there was a lot of actually having all three guys involved. This was a stiff worked matchup. These guys brutalized each other from start to finish. It was absolutely a delight and really picked up the energy where the night up until that point had felt a little bit soft. This one did wonders. And again, Titus on commentary, like you said, it doesn't have to be all the time. It would get annoying, but once in a while, that was an energy boost like no other, match-wise and on commentary as well, too. Fantastic time.
One of the things that I noticed about this match, and they mentioned it, I believe it was on Tom Collihue's stream. At the end of this match, they brought that psychology back as Gunther spent a good 5 minutes, just completely disappeared from this match at the end. Yeah. Like he spent 5 minutes just chilling. Yeah. And the other guys were like, fine, we'll just beat each other up. I'm like, but there's a perfectly good Gunther out there just laying on the ground. Why aren't we putting him in the match? No, this is great. There was no way these three guys were going to have a bad match to begin with.
No.
The hard-hitting thing, big Biggie men slapping meat, as Biggie would say, is just a fantastic way to do a match. I'm all on board now for Gunther breaking Honky Tonk's record. I think that's the next step that we have to get to. It's just fantastic. Gunther is doing such good work as the Intercontinental Champion. I saw a tweet from Mike the Ref. I'm going to go ahead and give him some credit on Twitter today. Somebody brought up that Roman feels like the biggest final boss in wrestling history. And I'm like, he's not wrong. But Mike pointed out, he's like, all of the champions right now going into this weekend felt like final bosses. Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, the Usos, Roman Reigns, Gunther, even to an extent Austin Theory. Feels like, granted, he's like the mid-level final boss. Like, you're on that last level and you got like that little boss before the big boss.
It's like the boss sidekick.
Yeah, but to an extent, but you get my point. Like, WWE's done a very good job of making their champions stand out lately. Yes. In all divisions. And for WWE, that's an impressive thing. Because WWE hasn't always done that. So, to give Triple H credit, he's made the Intercontinental Championship feel like a big deal. He's attempted, as best he can, to make the U.S. title feel like a big deal. The Open Challenges with Austin Theory, putting it inside the Elimination Chamber. He's done a good job at giving that title significance, making us remember who's holding that championship. We don't have to go, and guess, who's the U.S. champion? I don't, we're not playing that game like we do in some companies. We're like, I don't know who's holding that title. They're very good about making sure you know who their champions are. Gunther has put his, for a better word, his handprint on that championship and on every person who's attempted to take it from him. Can we also talk about the massive entrance that Gunther got? It felt big. And again, it was so simple. Just having Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci out there and doing the old school Imperium type of intro where he just calls into the ring. It just felt big time. Gunther feels big time. He doesn't need a winged suit. He doesn't need a mirror mask. He didn't need a dress like Homelander. He didn't need 6 pianos to feel like a big deal. He just walked to the ring and he was a big deal.
Yeah. And that's Gunther. That's just how he is. That's why it works and why he is going to accelerate to the top of the card there. He's not just a final boss. He will be the final boss one of these days.
Who do we think takes the title, starting with Parrish, off of Gunther? Looking forward. I know we might be looking 3, 4, 6 months into the future. If you could have your pick, who dethrones Gunther to put him on track to go for the World Championship?
It's the guy that he didn't pin to win the match. And I do believe the right move is for Sheamus to have his one-on-one story back against Gunther for that title and beat Gunther at the O2 Arena at Money in the Bank for that Intercontinental title.
Mr. Bobby Munson.
Yeah, I'll go on board with that decision as well, too. It's really what they have that could make enough sense that it would work in that capacity. Outside of that, how do you do it other than maybe having him relinquish it in favor of a championship match?
I've got one for you. It's a little bit outside the box, but bear with me on it. No. Never. The answer is never Jay White. We're just going to be honest. The answer is never Jay White. No, the answer for me here is Damian Priest. I think post-draft, I think you're moving the entire Judgment Day to SmackDown. I wouldn't mind putting some prominence on Damian Priest and tell me that you don't want to see Damian Priest trying to Razor's Edge Gunther. No, Tom. No. I just said the answer is never Jay White, Tom. Can I ban my boss from the chat?
No,
is there a way to do that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Wait,
Jay White approved him being here.
Wait, I can just go to the Ole YouTube. He's on YouTube. I can do this. No, I'm just kidding. Do we have any more lingering thoughts on the greatness that was the Intercontinental Championship match?
No.
Yeah, I think...
Parrish?
I just said this is exactly what I fell in love with that title as a kid. This is a title that when you watch wrestling, you know that championship is the workhorse title. They mentioned it again in the match, but they absolutely just amplified that meaning and what it means to be Intercontinental Champion, and it matters again, and it matters largely because of the champion. There's two things that you want when you have a champion. You hope that champion makes the title bigger, and you hope to God that title does not make the champion. And Gunther is making the Intercontinental title borderline comparable to Roman Reigns' world undisputed heavyweight title.
Moving on, we now have the first, I'll say at this point it was the first, that's a choice you can make decision of the night. So we have wonderful entrances from both Asuka and Bianca Belair. The Asuka entrance is fantastic as Asuka is bringing all the versions of the Empress Tomorrow that we've seen. 2 of them through NXT, 2 more through WWE, through the main roster, before we get to the current Kana version of Asuka that I call it. Askana, I believe, is what Carl calls it. Askana?
Yeah, Askana.
And then, to not be topped, we have Bianca Belair with the best crew of little itty-bitty Bianca Belair dancers that I've ever seen. I'm sorry, kids melt my heart when they do this. Yes, the Asuka cosplayers were fantastic. The Bianca Belair little girls were so entertaining and so much fun to watch. And then out comes Bianca Belair in her hand-done gear that she makes on her own. And they have a really good match. Like, was it better than Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley last night? Not to me, but let's find out what Bobby thinks.
Yeah, I mean, you can't compare. That's not fair in any sense of the word. I wasn't expecting this match to be as good as it was, but it definitely was a standout. It was a strong matchup between the two. Some of the better work that Bianca has done in quite some time. But of course, it's a testament to how well Asuka presents herself in the ring. You're right about the decision, though. I am completely not as on board with the decision of Bianca retaining right now. I was more on board with Asuka, especially in the current form of her becoming the new champion. But we'll see where everything pans out from there. Outside of that, it's a small splitting hair. Good matchup. Solid for this night.
Parrish.
I can see the similarity of why they chose to keep the title on both Bianca Belair and Roman Reigns. However, I think it's better for Bianca Belair to not always be champion. We saw, even though John Cena became a superstar that nobody saw coming because he was always on top, you also saw what it could do with a guy like Roman Reigns who took longer when somebody's always force-fed to the top without any change. Mm-hmm. I think Bianca Belair should experience a good heel run, and I don't think keeping that championship was the right move.
Ooh. I agree. I like this match. There's a lot of really good things in this match. The back and forth with Asuka trying to lock in her one of her 2 finishing holds. Bianca constantly going for the KOD and there always being a way out for Asuka. The missing. There are so many good things about this match. But yeah, exactly. Knife pervert, you know. You definitely can't let a knife pervert anywhere near kids, you know. It's just what it is. Anyways, back to Asuka and Bianca, people who deserve to be talked about, unlike Jay White. Bianca Belair is a fantastic heel. Most people forget I resigned from OLE. The reason is because of Bobby's background. I said it during Busting Out. I'll say it again now. As I was saying, before I was so rudely in... Why do I feel like Lance Stormo of a fucking sudden?
It's okay, Ed. We still love you.
Great. I'm glad. I'm glad you guys love me because I don't know if the feelings.
What's
anymore.
next for Bianca Belair? That's to me a question that I think needs some consideration because I can't tell you because I don't want to see it to be Bayley. I don't want to see it to be Becky. Like, who is the right person to feud with her? Is it Charlotte? Is Charlotte coming over to Raw and we're going to see Charlotte and Bianca?
I don't know. That's part of the thing I was going to say. Like, Bianca had such a great heel run in NXT, but most people forget that. Like, I think people forget that at one time she was undefeated with the bubblegum and the hands and everything that she did. People forget how good of a heel she is. And she's been on top for so long as a babyface on the main roster. As Paris said, I would love to see her go heel. And the only way I think you can continue this run is if you turn her heel and go through some of the matches again. But I feel like retreading some of these old matches is going to get boring. The only thing I can see is, are they going to do a call-up or are they bringing in a big free agent? But then again, I don't know who's a big enough free agent to bring in that you can topple a one-year champion like that, just out of the clear blue.
Really? Can't think of one?
No. Noob's coming in saying, fun match, but the ending is meh. All I know is the fans have already rioting in their voice of displeasure on Twitter and that Asuka should go back to Japan. Here's two things. I find out Asuka wants to team up with Charlotte, most likely because they want to stop the generational change. I mean, as we all know, Noob is a very, very big Asuka fan. I could see Asuka and Charlotte teaming up as, you know, they were the Mutual Appreciation Society early on Twitter with each other, both complimenting each other and telling them how much they love each other. I'm more worried for Asuka now than I've been in the past because it would be nice to have a source for that. It just feels like Asuka's been treading water since Becky Lynch handed her the Raw Women's Championship.
Yeah.
And I can't think of one really good thing Asuka's done since being handed the championship after winning Money in the Bank during the pandemic.
One thing I think I could see is this, and that new comment's kind of where I was going. We saw teases of a heel Asuka in the lead up in this match. What happens if this loss is actually the match that causes Asuka to turn into Kana, into that actual killer, which then makes her a heel in WWE, and we still see Asuka becoming the person to dethrone Bianca Belair?
I mean, like I said, I'm willing to at least see this out. Triple H has taught me that at least I can give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's play it out and see what happens with all of these decisions that I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. But it's just hard to swallow because this felt like the time. Every championship reign has that moment where you're like, here's the moment it needs to have a change. And I feel like WWE missed the moment twice tonight. And they did such a good job last night of telling stories in a good way. Even on decisions I disagreed with, I saw the storyline reason to do it. And tonight, I feel more agreeable to be irritated because I don't see the storyline implications going forward at this moment. But I'm going to let Triple H tell the stories, and I'm going to see what happens.
I mean, surprises could be in store for Monday and Friday night as well, too. So, I mean,
absolutely,
we might not know exactly where things are going just yet, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe those surprises are exactly what he's been, holding back those cards ready to play this coming week. And
absolutely.
Look forward to finding out.
A famous man once said, just when you thought you knew the answers, change the questions.
Oh, rest in peace, Roddy. I miss you, buddy. All right. Moving on. If I remember correctly, this is the moment we had Snoop Dogg and Miz in the ring.
Yeah, I tried to put it out of my mind, but yes, this is exactly when your favorite Shane McMahon decided to
This put a smile on my face and a little love in my heart. So, Miz is blaming Snoop Dogg for his loss last night to Pat McAfee in a suit that he says is more expensive than the suit he was wearing last night. By the way, I love the Miz's suits for the last 2 nights. Fantastic. Didn't think I mentioned that last night. To which interrupts Shane McMahon, the best in the world, who proceeds to blow himself up coming to the ring, which was unfortunate, and then proceeds to, as Triple H has confirmed in the post-show press conference, again, thank you, Asher Bizarro, for letting us know, has torn his quad less than 2 minutes into a match that wasn't even a real match.
The best part was as soon as he landed, Parrish is sitting there laughing, going, wouldn't it be hysterical if it was a blown quad and it was a genetic thing that ran in the McMahon family?
We're going to throw up Lauren's comment in just a moment, but we want to continue with this. Snoop Dogg then, like the absolute fucking pro that he is, Snoop Dogg and The Miz just come up with a brand new match of Snoop Dogg versus The Miz at the last second. Snoop Dogg gives 2 really good rights, by the way, to The Miz, and then does probably the best people's elbow that there's ever been. To which The Miz then looks up at him and yells, "Cover me now!" And Snoop Dogg gets down and gets the 1, 2, 3 to retain his Snoop Dogg Gold Championship green and gold belt that Snoop Dogg has.
I heard that there's papers actually underneath the leather. You just kind of pull them out and you can roll on the spot. It's a beautiful thing.
We do have Lauren bringing in more news from the media scrum tonight, saying that Trips has said in tonight's media scrum, why do people think Cody's moment has gone and done wrong? I know that I know where this is going, and people will see. I have had sleepless nights thinking about what we should do, and I can confidently say that it's good. And Mark Robson from the Tom Collahue community, the Collahunity on Discord, has transcribed that for us. Noob also saying the most embarrassing thing that Shane McMahon tore his quads, just like Vince McMahon in 2000. I'm going to add the year 2005 at the Royal Rumble, where he tore both his quads as he was pissed off at John Cena and Batista for eliminating each other at the exact same time. Does anybody else want to talk about this, or can I just...
No.
I'm just kidding.
No.
All right. Moving on. We then have, if I remember correctly, this is the Hall of Fame. Is it the Hell in the Cell first or the Hall of Fame?
The Hall of Fame thing, I think, happened first.
So we have the Hall of Fame recap. The 5 wonderful candidates who go into the Hall of Fame. Tim White, who owns a bar nearby my house.
Or was it? We're wrong. But you know what? Let's just cover the Hall of Fame. And
let's cover the... Yeah, exactly. We can throw through order around.
It's Hall of Fame now.
Yeah. The family of Tim White there for the honor of Tim White, who was inducted as the Warrior Award nominee. We had, in the celebrity wing, we had Andy Kaufman going in, and his family was there representing him. And, of course, Stacy Keibler, the great Muda, Keiji Muto, and, of course, Rey Mysterio. It was nice to see them all again. Stacy, she doesn't age, does she? She really doesn't.
No.
Just absolute beautiful woman. She just... I really wish she would have been able to come in a different time, where women were treated with a little bit better, a little bit more respect. While she was never going to be the greatest in-ring talent, I think she could have given so much more to this business in a time now where she could have been alongside people like Bayley, or be alongside people like Liv Morgan, Raquel Gonzalez. I think she would have given a lot to this current crop of women's wrestlers in terms of being able to be a presence on screen. Because some of them are a little bit forgotten on screen. And she just always brought that presence. When Stacy Keibler was on screen, you knew Stacy Keibler was on screen. Whether she was working with Scott Steiner, whether she was working with the Dudleys, or whether she was Miss Hancock in WCW. She's just fantastic. I don't think any of us can speak to the greatness of Keiji Muto in enough time that we have right now to do so. Hopefully, Bobby Munson and Papa Smokes will be doing a Ring Respect Radio on the new WWE Hall of Famer Keiji Muto in the near future, and we can go ahead and talk about the greatness.
I mean, you can watch a lot of the stuff that he did on WCW if you actually still have access to the WWE Network.
Yeah, and I think it's even on Peacock too, probably. And then Rey Mysterio. I mean, he's a living legend. We just talked about him last night. We will speak about his greatness for years to come. We're not going to sit here and talk too much about this. No. We get to Hell in the Cell. And as Noob said earlier, and I skipped the comment because we weren't talking about that at the moment, the Hell in the Cell was narrated by Russell Crowe. Because, of course, Russell Crowe is in a new movie. And I believe the movie is called...
The Exorcist?
No, the people said no. The
pastors.
The Pope's exorcist.
There we go. The Pope's exorcist. There we go. Yeah. Good job. I wish I knew. Again, had I known that I was supposed to be taking notes, I would have. I'm just going to throw this comment up there because it's going to be the one thing that Mel says the entire show.
Jay White would have taken
shorts.
It's actually Trunks.
It was Trunks. That being said, we have Brood Edge as he was done on the thing.
Without a brood.
Without a brood. He was by himself. The only brood thing was the... So, Bobby, I'm going to defer to you and to Parrish on this because, honestly, the music, I didn't even know it was real music. Talk to me about Slayer.
Yeah.
What is a Slayer?
What is a Slayer? Slayer is one of the big four heavy metal bands, still known and loved by the metal community, and it's just not often that you hear their stuff making it into popular media such as this, so it is really shocking when that opportunity comes about. So it was a fantastic use of it, and a fantastic shout out to Slayer being used there tonight, and testament to the kind of pull that Edge has that they were able to earn that. Looked more like Shockmaster Edge than Brood Edge.
Also, by the way,
That's fantastic.
I mean, we all know Triple H is a metalhead. I don't think it took much convincing on Triple H's part to go ahead and get Slayer. I mean, Lemmy's gone, or else Edge would have been coming out to Motorhead. Let's be honest.
True. Very true.
If Lemmy were still here, Lemmy would have been on stage at age 90, I think it would have been, or something like that. He's up there. And he would have been out there pretending to sing the words to a song. And I only say pretending because we've seen the footage where he says he didn't know what the words were when he was out there performing Triple H's theme when he was there at WrestleMania one year.
And you are right about something. He is up there, Edge, because as they say, Lemmy is God.
Yes, Lemmy is unfortunately not with us anymore. God rest his soul. Even me, the non-metalhead, knows about Motorhead and can respect all of the wonderful thing that Lemmy has done. We then have Edge coming to the ring as he's coming to the ring in his Brood attire with the mirror mask and the wings. I don't get it. Does anybody else know why?
No.
This is the kind of confusing stuff that Toronto Maple Leaf hockey fans tend to think of. It makes no sense. Nobody understood it. I wish he just came out with fire. I wish they just would have asked Gangrel to be there. Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't fit whatever in God's green earth that was supposed to be. That just doesn't fit him.
No. Yeah. And then, of course, we had the Demon Balor come out to a version of his old Demon Balor music. That's slightly altered. As Mel says, shorts.
That was exactly what he used as a demon.
Was it the exact same thing?
Exactly the same.
I thought it was slightly altered.
Because it has like the dun dun and then that build up and then they go,
It was fantastic. I've missed the demon. I'm never going to want to see the demon again after what happened tonight. But I did miss the demon until tonight. As Mel is definitely confirming for us, it is the same music. And honestly, anything Balor related, I'm just going to assume that Mel is the expert and authority on it.
I
That
mean,
and Tom Lawler.
Yeah, sure. Parrish, your thoughts on Hell in a Cell with the color-coded weaponry?
well, first, I love the fact that they went back to the gray, the steel Hell in
Yeah.
a Cell.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that when they, changed the cell back, that all the red somehow was on all the steel chairs. And it was really weird to see a lot of red chairs and then the occasional blue one. So if anybody there had OCD, I'm sorry, because that probably would have messed you up.
Tom does. I'm sure he was very, very upset that they weren't using their own color-coded weaponry. They stole Yano's chairs.
But
sorry, Yano.
I mean, I thought the table spot they had was awesome. That was a hell of a bump by Edge. The use of the weapons weren't an issue. It was just, again, why do you have to make them pretty? Just have them what? No, exactly. That was what I was just gonna say. Why was there so many kendos? Bobby and I are watching this, and I'm like, oh, what's he gonna get? He pulls out 6 kendos. I'm like, what? Because the first 5 couldn't do the job.
Yep. And, those typical things that are used in staging a ring put together and everything, too. Because I always see the boys pulling out kendo sticks as they're setting up the ring at a wrestling show.
Yeah,
We had a deal. You bought 5 and got 1 for free.
As Barry says, I have CDO
right.
letters in proper order.
Nice.
Bobby, your thoughts on the Hell in the Cell tonight?
I mean, it was a decent Hell in a Cell matchup. It wasn't anything that I'm gonna remember for the ages. It was good. It was good between two guys that know what they're doing. Not overly memorable. Not something that needed to be on this particular card in this capacity. I think some of the oomph maybe was taken out of it because of the other matches on the card and things that had done, stolen the show earlier and everything like that. And knowledge that this was going on before the main event, which was what everybody was psyching themselves up for. So I think there was a little bit of over deflation going into this one that didn't help it from a crowd perspective. Plus, again, the production murdered some of the excitement behind some of this, because having those really loud audibles and the microphones turn up in the ring and having the audience mic down kind of kills some of the excitement, because you don't know how that audience is reacting to what's going on.
One of the things I want to talk about with this match, because it's another one of it's one of 3 baffling decisions on the night. Why did Edge need this victory, and where does Finn in the Judgment Day go from here?
Yeah.
Well,
Parrish?
I think the one thing you can get out of this match was closure with Edge and the Judgment Day. I think that book is... that was at least a story that was finished tonight.
We think?
I guess.
Yeah, and then, as you said earlier about the draft, I think Judgment Day is SmackDown bound. I think you'll see that. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I don't know if anybody's picked up on this, but Rhea is the only one that won. I think we're going to see for the first time ever a stable or faction led by a woman that consists of nothing else but male, which I think is going to be very amazing, because Rhea Ripley is going to be just awesome on that brand now. But I think the potential of seeing maybe Bloodline against Judgment Day, or Imperium against Judgment Day, or maybe Brutes against Judgment Day, I think we might see some of that. Maybe we even see somebody like a faction. Maybe we see say a Gallus come up or something like that, or maybe we see something form that we're not expecting. Maybe we see some Street Profits against the Judgment Day. I don't know, but I think just fresher matchups. And I think that's something that's needed. I think a change of scenery is definitely needed for the Judgment Day, and they're probably going to get a strong push.
Bobby, any last lingering thoughts on this match?
Not much more to add. I think everything's been covered on that one for sure, and I know we got a lot to talk about coming up in the main event. So,
yeah, Parrish, any thoughts on the?
Just one more thing to add. Triple H in his post-media scrum did confirm that Finn Balor received staples in this match. He is doing fine, but yes, if people were wondering about the blood that he shed, he did receive staples, and he should be just fine.
And the staples came mid-match, I believe. I remember hearing, because all of a sudden he was. I saw all the blood in the ring. I had turned away and done something else. I think I was making popcorn, and when I came back, there was nobody bleeding, but there was a lot of blood in the ring. I thought that was kind of unusual. And now we get to our main event of the evening. Oh boy, is there a lot to talk about here. Let's start with some of the good things. Cody Rhodes' entrance, timed out at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, with no downstate, which I thought was very sad. I was really hoping that downstate would be there. We then had people playing pianos, electric pianos, and Roman Reigns' entrance topped out 7 minutes and 25 seconds from the opening note on the pianos to the final note that they played as they were lowering his music. 7 minutes, 25 seconds for an entrance. And that's still shorter by about 2 minutes than I thought it was going to be, because I legitimately thought it was going to be 10 full minutes for him. During Cody's entrance, we do see his lovely wife, his daughter, his mother, his sister, and -1. Brody Lee's, yes, an unmasked -1. Brody Lee Jr.
goes to WWE and they take the mask off him. Oh.
He's still assigned AEW talent. Don't worry. I thought it was beautiful that he was given this. Amanda Huber, if you haven't seen it, go check out Amanda Huber's Twitter. She has an absolutely wonderful post talking about Cody Rhodes and how close he was to John and how close he was to -1 and how much that moment meant to her as a mother. And as a parent, it's just... it hits different seeing that moment. Cody holding his daughter, having -1 there, seeing that the AEW WWE thing is legitimately something that the fans and the media have created, and that none of these people actually give two shits about whether it's AEW or WWE. There were numerous AEW talent tweeting out "Finish the story" tonight in support of Cody Rhodes. As Basler says, Tony Khan gonna send hate tweets to -1.
Hashtag AEW Dynamite.
You know,
bidding war of -1.
Bidding war of 2034. We then get to the match. My God, the emotion in this match. I put it in our Slack chat. I want to reiterate it. This match could have been the worst wrestling match known to man. That crowd was going to make it feel like a match of the year contender, no matter what.
Yes, 100%.
That being said, it wasn't a terrible match.
No.
Finish aside, it was not a terrible match. It was booked, to my mind, picture perfect. I loved how this match was booked. Parrish, I want to get your thoughts before we go to Bobby on this match. As the in-ring talent, what do you have to say?
Well, first off, yeah, we can say how long the entrances felt, but when it came down to it, this match stood out because of its entrance. It stood out because of the feel. It stood out because of the emotion involved. This was undisputedly the main event of WrestleMania, and there was nothing that can compare to what this match had. These guys put on performances that only a main event needs. They brought back the mystique and the heritage and the history of what a main event performer should look like. Roman Reigns is on another level. Cody Rhodes matched that level. At the end of the day, Cody Rhodes had to play the numbers game. Fell victim to the numbers game. But my God, what a swerve. And talk about an emotional roller coaster. This match did that, and I believe this match is the match of the year in professional wrestling.
Bobby?
That's quite a hard one to follow up there. No, I don't know if I'd say match of the year, but it's definitely up there. There was a lot of really beautifully done spots. The emotion, as Ed mentioned, was top notch throughout this entire thing. The story was there, and they gave us a swerve on top of it. Again, you expect WrestleMania to end with that happy-go-lucky, feel-good moment like we saw last night with Sami and Kevin winning the tag belts. And they gave you the complete opposite of that here tonight. They really swerved people. They did it with a strong match. And again, making Roman look indestructible. Who can beat him at this point in time? This was our guy. And he couldn't get the job done. So now who? It becomes the question.
Yeah. God, there was so much storytelling in, honestly, so little moves. Like, it's amazing. Roman Reigns tried for years to be put over as the star of this company. And they had him doing move after move after move. And they had him doing all of these things. And the moment they turn him heel and they slow him down, and he got this attitude, this demeanor. The tribal chief isn't a character on screen. It's a version of Roman Reigns. It's a mindset that Roman Reigns lives with when he goes into that ring. And it was on display tonight in such a way. I thought I knew for certain what the outcome of this match was going to be. And I was still biting on every time that Roman Reigns tried to pin Cody. That I thought it might be 3. Paul Heyman is still, no offense to Bobby the Brain Heenan, the greatest manager to ever live. This man is on another level right now. The reactions he has to the things happening in the ring. He is another part of every Roman Reigns match. Roman Reigns matches aren't Roman Reigns versus the opponent. Paul Heyman is a consistent part of every single Roman Reigns match that happens on screen. I'm disappointed that Cody Rhodes didn't finish the story. I'm disappointed in the decision to not have him win tonight. I felt like everything was pointing to a storyline of a maniacal Roman Reigns losing everything and trying to figure out what to do next. WWE has changed the questions. They've given us a new storyline to follow. Roman Reigns is going to hit 1,000 days, potentially, as world champion. He is going to go into a level of people that is unheard of. And you know what? As irritated as I am, and as disappointed as I am, I'm excited for what comes next. We have Barry Monkey jumping in. I think if Cody had won, fans could have turned on him. Being beaten first might be best for Cody in the long run. It's potential. We have Basler also saying, tonight my son went from, Dad really loves wrestling, to, I want to watch this every time with you during this match. It clicked for him. And that's what I'll remember from this weekend. Not the terrible. And guess what? That is why that comment exactly. The wrestling club. Things like what Basler just said right there. Those are the reasons that we watch professional wrestling. Okay, Curvin Abreu coming in and saying that Cody Rhodes was not ready. He wasn't ready for Roman Reigns. But there's a moment where WWE, Triple H has said he knows what's going on. He knows where this story is headed. And to just give him the benefit of the doubt. And I'm willing to do that. Because it's Triple H. And so far, Triple H has not proven to be wrong. He has come in and he has done as best he can to make things better.
Yep.
WWE programming is easier to watch now that Triple H is in charge. Parrish, do you have something to say, boss?
I thought the whole swerve is more than just the match not going the way we thought.
Mhm.
The whole time we're thinking the bloodline, there's cracks in the foundation, it's going to implode at WrestleMania. We got every little detail that's exactly where our mind should be going towards. We then go to night one. The Usos lose the tag team titles to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, thus allowing ourselves to still believe that there's going to be cracks towards the foundation of the bloodline. They're going to implode the bloodline, only for the head of the table, the one that started it all, to remain. It is a different layer now in this story that nobody saw coming. Roman Reigns, in an interview with Ariel Helwani, said everyone thought Drew was the man, and then they found a new one. Everyone thought Sami Zayn was going to be the man, but then we found a new one. Now everyone thought Cody Rhodes is the man, but when I smash him, you're going to find a new one.
Maybe there just isn't one. Maybe Roman just retires as champ.
I want to pose something. I brought it up during the pre-show, and I want to bring it up because a couple of decisions tonight might have had this in mind. We learned today, before WrestleMania Night 2 started, that Endeavor is apparently, reportedly, very close to finalizing a deal to buy the WWE. That Endeavor is potentially, as soon as potentially tomorrow, going to be finalizing a deal to purchase the WWE. Is there a chance that plans changed because Endeavor wants to have the biggest star on the masthead when they make this deal? And those stars being Bianca Belair and Roman Reigns.
Then why not keep it on Charlotte?
Because the Endeavor deal wasn't close enough last night. What if the deal literally in the last 24 hours went from possible to almost finalized?
Okay. Fair enough.
Another way to, you can also look at it that could help with that is Roman Reigns also in that interview said he is the only man to have $1 billion a year in the WWE, and he's done it 3 times. Needless to say, he could be the most profitable superstar this company has ever seen, and then facts back that up. $1 billion. That is a huge eye-opener for any company that is looking to buy WWE when they see somebody with that potential. To make that much money for them, you want to keep that. I'm also going to answer your question with a question. We know that there is a new title design approved. What if the plan all along was on day 1000 of Roman Reigns' title reign is when we see that new title?
It's very possible. Like I said, I'm not saying the plans changed. This could have been the plan all along. And from Triple H's reading between the lines of Triple H's words, again, given to us secondhand by Mark, but again, I'm going to assume that they're word for word from what Triple H said. Reading between those lines, it doesn't sound like plans changed. It sounded like this was the plan all along.
But Triple H also quoted saying, "There's always a plan B."
That is Triple H, the character, but yes. We're heading into Puerto Rico next. Do you guys think that the obvious next step for Puerto Rico is not a title defense, but is the 6-man tag? That's the main event in Puerto Rico, right? Owens, Zayn, and Cody versus either Roman and the Usos or Solo and the Usos. I'm leaning more towards Solo. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think logically, especially with it being just a premium live event that isn't one of the big 4 it's logical to go that path, to have Roman on the sideline as opposed to actually defending the belt there that night. They're an appearance only more than anything. Yeah, I honestly think Solo and the Usos versus Cody, Sammy, and Kevin Owens.
Parrish?
It's very logical.
Mhm.
However, when was the last time a major or even a PLE was in Puerto Rico?
Been a while. It was New Year's Revolution in the early 2000s.
Exactly. I think a heavyweight championship match makes a lot of sense in a place they don't go to very often.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking a change or anything like that, but potentially, who's to say rematch Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, rematch Usos versus Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, could be matches that both main evented the days in WrestleMania as your co and main event going into this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something people would be very interested in buying, knowing it's the top storylines in the company.
Yeah,
I agree. Like I said, I'm not saying that main event is going to be the main event. I'm looking ahead and going what might be. But as we're finished talking about the main event here, unless anybody else has any further thoughts.
nothing more.
Parrish?
Can't wait for Jay White.
Good thought.
Looking back on the last 2 days of WrestleMania, Bobby, I know that you're not the biggest WWE fan. I know that you prefer your MLW. You prefer some of your other types of wrestling. What did you think of the collective 2 nights as one whole event?
Yeah, and see that I have my ups and downs with WWE is probably the better way to put it. But as a collective, I like watching the big shows, and it was fun. I had fun. I had some drinks. I got down, watched some wrestling. There was some good stuff. There was some bad stuff. But as a collective, I had a good time, and I'm not going to complain. Nitpicks aside, this was a blast.
Parrish, your thoughts on WrestleMania as a collective?
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the up and down analogy of WrestleMania. There's always going to be WrestleMania where, as a fan, you're going to love some things they do. You're going to not love some things they do. That's WrestleMania every year. You're going to go on Twitter and somebody has a better way of how to book the show than Triple H. But I felt there was a lot of WrestleMania moments this year. I thought it felt like a WrestleMania. The main event felt like a main event. The good and positive takeaways in this event made this event a really big success. So with that being said, I think WrestleMania did its job. Was night 1 maybe more complete than night 2? Yeah. But guess what? Night 2 had the home run that night 1 kind of wish they actually had, because I don't think anything tops that main event.
The emotion, like I said, I go back to what I started the show with. You read the quote from Victor, the wrestling club, and like we saw with Basler talking about how his son, the moment clicked. There's something special when it comes to wrestling, when you're watching it with children, when you're seeing it through a different eye. There's something special that we as adults forget, that there's a magic within wrestling. We're jaded. We're older. We see through what's on the screen to the storylines behind. And every now and then, this WrestleMania, more than every other one, is proving, just play along and watch the story. Don't worry about what's coming next. Don't worry about who's behind the scenes. Don't worry about if Jay White's going to come through the curtain tomorrow night. Just watch the story. Listen to what they're telling you and love wrestling. Sorry, I had to.
No, it's perfectly said, Ed. Yeah.
That being said, drink.
Poor
I'm going to go ahead and go to my good friend Bobby Munson, and I'm going to ask you to tell us all the wonderful things that you will be doing this week.
Well, as always, you can follow the ticker at the bottom, but you're going to be able to catch me in a few days. Thursday night, to be exact, as you're heading into your long weekend, Easter long weekend. Thursday night, Ring Respect Radio with Papa Smokes. And, of course, once again, Easter Sunday for another edition of Busting It Out. And, again, shout out to Lauren Goodnight, who was in the chat here today. Awesome show with her earlier today on Busting It Out as well, too. So it's been an awesome weekend, and I just want to thank you guys and Ed for putting up with our shit tonight as well, too, and taking the hosting duties from us because, yes, we had a few wobbly pops.
I have one more night to put up with your crap. I understand. Parrish, plug your shit.
Right there. You can follow it. Twitter, Chris Parrish, Instagram, Chris.Parrish. You can follow me on other places, but right now these are the two that have the most activity. And then everything OLE.
Especially we wanted to ask people to please follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/ourlocalestablishment. We're heading towards the route of 100 followers. Subscribers on YouTube. Sorry, not followers. Subscribers on YouTube. We're hoping that you guys can help us get there. We're going to start, I think we're going to start putting a little bit more content on the YouTube side. Some things exclusive. Like this weekend, we found out that we decided to put all of our prediction shows live on the YouTube. So definitely go ahead and check that stuff out. As for me, you can of course find me at edfries12584 on Twitter. You can find me on Twitch at edfries2002. Me and this man right here are going to be in the very soon near future going to be doing GM mode, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, with a potential guest spot from our friend Tom Collahue here and there as a commentator extraordinaire, helping us lead the way. But again, I just wanted to reiterate, because we haven't done it all show because we've had some stuff to talk about. Go to rogueenergy.com, promo code OLEPods. Get you 10% off your order. There's, Rogue has been with us since the beginning of OLE. We thank them so much for their support, especially this weekend, because Lord knows, without Rogue Energy, I don't think any of us would have gotten through this weekend. I've been popping Rogue Energy all weekend because since Saturday, I've been pretty much going nonstop on this channel. With the exception of Busting Out, I've been on every OLE show since Saturday morning.
You're a trooper, Ed.
I also want to go ahead. Do we have a new calendar? I don't see it
It's not in this thing.
Just on this one. No.
It's fine.
We got lots of stuff.
We've got Paramindful tomorrow, I think. If we don't, go watch the old episodes of Paramindful. It's great. We've got the Raw Watch Along tomorrow night.
I think dropped yesterday with an April 1st episode.
We did have an April episode, April 1st, dropped yesterday on the YouTube channel. But if there's something new tomorrow, look out for that. If not, Raw Watch Along with Carl Carafel, Chris Parrish, Chris Best, and OMD. They'll be live doing all things Raw after Mania, so please join us for that. On Tuesday night, you will catch Carl Carafel again with his Turnbuckle Studios account, also doing Turnbuckle Talk, where they will be talking probably the fallout of this and potentially the details on the sale to Endeavor if WWE does indeed sell tomorrow. On NXT, you'll be catching me and my tag team partner, Asher Bizarro, as we talk the fallout from Stand and Deliver. And of course, we're going to have a Mellobration with Carmelo Hayes as the new NXT champion. On Thursday, Bobby said Ring Respect Radio. You can also find on her own channel, the good friend of the channel, Asher Bizarro, will be doing Making an Impact. On Saturday, I don't think we have anything.
No, nothing this Saturday.
I'm like, wait, Saturday, wait.
Sunday, busted out. Easter Sunday.
Busting out.
Yeah. There we go. We got it.
We
Made it through.
Have the return of Melball's Mix this week.
Friday.
Yes, Friday.
Melball's Mix. I think
socials.
that's on TikTok, right? The Tickety Talk.
Something like that. On the
Instagram.
socials. Wherever the
It's
kids
somewhere.
hang out.
It's somewhere that I don't know how to use. Basler. No, you know what? It's sometimes it just
see you
takes.
soon, buddy.
Yeah, it takes something special sometimes, and I appreciated having you in the chat. It's been great. I look forward to seeing you in more chats. With that being said, drink one last time. I have been OLED. This, Bobby Munson. Down here is Chris Parrish. Thank you all for joining us for WrestleMania Night 2. Make sure to join us tomorrow night for WrestleMania Night 3, the Raw After Mania. We'll see you then. Bye.